Thank you, Shirley. We have Mariatini Othman in the house today, a lady with impressive credentials. I'd like to invite past Governor Kiranjit Kaur to introduce our esteemed speaker. Past Governor.
Thank you, Millie. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I know we are really looking forward to listening to Puan Maria. Briefly, I'd like to share with you some details about Puan Mariatini Othman. Now, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from University of Technology in Malaysia, and she later earned a master's degree in technology management from University Malaya. Now, she served for a good number of years as a chemical engineer with a wastewater treatment turnkey contractor before joining a palm oil plantation outfit, looking after the treatment of all palm oil mills effluent. Mariatini later headed the R&D department of a manufacturing concern supplying products for the armed forces. She soon joined University Malaya as a project manager for one of the country's top-down R&D projects in catalysis. Once the project started to run, she was engaged by another top-down project at University Putra, Malaysia, also as a project manager, but on the development of vaccines. Having gone through R&D projects, she later delved into commercialization of a medical device together with its inventor. An angel investor, as well as CRDF, funded the project. Now, CRDF is a commercialization fund provided by the government of Malaysia through Malaysian Technology Development Corporation, known as MTDC. The project did not take off due to various reasons, and upon the premature conclusion of the startup, Maria joined MTDC as the assistant manager in the department in charge of the funds, CRDF included. Throughout the years, Maria has done evaluation of proposals, monitoring of projects, disbursements, and promotion of the fund. She's also provided technical advisory services while reporting at the Advisory and Value-Added Services Division to companies within MTDC's ecosystem. Today, Puan Mariatini Othman serves MTDC as its Senior Vice President at the CEO's office. Now, RYLA participants, Rotarians who are in the room, and also who are on our virtual platform today, I know we are really looking forward. Puan Maria, you have the screen.
Thank you. Allow me a few seconds to share my screen. Can you see my slides now? Can you see my slides, everyone? Yes? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Now, this is an interesting topic. I love talking about anything creative, creativity, creative thinking, what have you. How often have you how often do you ask yourself whether you're creative or not? Well, in my case, I've been told ever since I was young that you're a creative person. I'm not. And because when somebody, at least in the office setting, told you you're creative, then it's like them stepping back. You're creative, you do the thinking. La, we don't have to, because we are not creative. You are the one who's creative, right? But the way I see it, everybody is creative. And creativity is something that can always be taught, something that can always be learned. It's not that one person is more creative than the other. It probably is, but everybody has a baseline of creativity, and it's about harnessing this creativity, making the most of your creative side, all right? Now, right, so I'll be talking about creativity and then creative thinking and the application of creativity in a business setting, okay? I do not see the chat box, so if there are any questions, I'm sure the moderator will prompt me, right? So according to Kamus Dewan Bahasa, kreatif ialah mempunyai kemampuan atau kebolehan mencipta, menghasilkan dan mengembangkan sesuatu idea yang baru dan asli. I'm going to use a few definitions here and you'll see some common words used every time creativity is defined. Okay, so kemampuan, kebolehan mencipta, menghasilkan sesuatu idea yang baru dan asli. And then this is the Oxford Dictionary. It is the use of imagination, original ideas, again, to create something new, to invent something new, right? And then this is from Taxonomy of 1956. It says that, again, it is about something, coming up with something new. It has to be original. It has to be something based from your imagination, and then you make it, you create it, okay? So let's ask yourself again, are you creative? Do you think you're creative or not? Maybe everybody can start writing in the chat box if you think you're creative, if you think you're not. Who is this guy on the picture, on the screen?
Ross. What's his name? Rosa. I'm not sure.
Huh?
Not sure.
Michael Jackson.
That's Michael Jackson. Yeah. Michael Jackson, when he was with Jackson 5, when he was singing the song Ben, right? So he is creative. It is, everybody accepts that Michael Jackson is a creative person. Let's consider what makes him creative, right? So can you be creative? You may not be as creative as Michael Jackson, but he certainly is creative, right? Let's look at the other person. Who is this guy? You know him? He looks a bit like my father, actually. Who is him?
Tesla.
Yes, Tesla, correct. Now, is Tesla creative or not? He was amazingly creative, amazingly creative. That's Tesla. Among his inventions, well, he discovered rays, cosmic rays. He imagined that one day we would be able to control machines remotely. So this was thought of by him those days, and he thought of and he invented electrical motors for cars. Cars were even rare back then, but he invented electric motors for cars, okay? Imagination, being able to, basically he invented the future that we are living in today, invented by Tesla. What about this guy? Do you know him? Not my grandfather. Doesn't look at all like my family. This is Akio. Akio is the founder of Tokyo Telecommunications Company. You probably have not heard of Tokyo Telecommunications Company, but when they first started, one of their first inventions that they wanted to bring to the world market was transistor radio. They wanted it to be a pocket radio. So it was, pocket size. The first time radios could be made into a pocket size, and then they realized that the pockets are actually a bit too small for their radio. So what he did was invented shirts with bigger pockets. Then you could put in the radio into your pocket, solves the problem. He later changed the name of the company to Sony, right? So this is the guy who co-founded Sony. The name Sony was chosen because they wanted to tap into America's market, and Sony is like Sonny Boy, what they use, the term they used to call the whites, right? So that's him. So what is it? Can we be as creative as them? What is creativity? Do you have to be creative only if you're in the arts? Not really. You've seen the engineers and the inventors, they're all creative as well. So creativity is not about making songs, making dramas, making TV shows, theaters and all that. Creativity is also applicable in businesses, in engineering, in fact, in all aspects of our lives, right? So when MTDC does job interviews, when people come looking for jobs at MTDC, if I were one of the interviewers, one of the questions I would usually ask the candidates will be, if I give you a barometer, will you be able to measure the height of KLCC? This is not even a technical question. This is how I want to see the candidate expand the idea in measuring the height of KLCC using barometer, which is a device you use to to measure pressures actually. So that's when you're pushed, then we'll see how good ideas coming out from this candidate. If they can solve the problem, if they can actually find out ways to measure the height of KLCC using a barometer, then he's in. Okay. So creativity is the ability to make, again, definition, to create something new, to solve a problem, a new method. This is a definition by Mihaly, a researcher in 1997. And this is another research paper saying that creativity is the ability to make connections. Okay, it is moving from known to unknown. And creativity by Harris 1998 is the ability to, again, create, make, imagination. All of the same words are used. So throughout our history, throughout man's history, creativity is important and it is based on imagination. And then with that imagination, you are able to invent something new. And this something new does not have to be a tangible product. Okay. Now, creative thinking. Before I go into it, let me tell you a story. Have you heard of this story? Anansi story. This is the story of Anansi and the tiger. Do you know what Anansi is? This is from one of the African countries. Anansi is actually a spider, right? So let me tell you this story first. Anansi and tiger, right? So once upon a long, long time ago, when the world first started, before the creation, before we existed, all stories belong to the tiger. Only tigers could tell stories. Only tigers have the stories. Stories were all owned by tigers. And because they were tiger stories, the stories were all about murder and might and meat. It's all the M's, whatever the tiger can kill, tiger will eat. Tiger was supreme. It was all the story of tigers, right? No other animals were allowed to look into the book because tiger owns it. So Anansi one day approached the tiger. Anansi said to the tiger, hey, let me look at the book. I want to read too. I want to see what stories are there in that book. Let me see it. But tiger said, no, this is my book. Only I get to read the stories. Only I get to tell the stories. You have no access to my book, right? So Anansi kept on saying, please let me see, please let me see. And tiger being tiger said no. And then because Anansi was so persistent, tiger said, okay, maybe you can look at the book if you can do two things for me, right? The first one is you catch all the bees and bring all the bees here without you getting stung, right? And the second one is you bring that snake, that horrible, horrible snake that is very fierce and very ready to kill anything that comes near it. You bring that snake to see me and you have to come whole, not in the snake's stomach, right? If you can do these things, if you can bring these two things into my cave alive, you get to see the book, right? So Anansi agreed. So what Anansi did was he went to see the queen bee, and he was looking very troubled. So queen bee said, what's wrong, Anansi? Let us help you. So Anansi said, well, tiger asked me to count the number of bees in this jungle. I can't count you because every time I count you, one would be buzzing over and then I lost count. And then all of you look the same. So I don't know whether I've counted you or not. So the queen bee said, how do we figure this out then? How do we help you? So this is a bottle, said Anansi. Why don't all of you go into this bottle and then I can count you better. 1, 2, 3, until all of you were in the bottle, then I know exactly how many bees are there in the forest. The queen agreed. So they were trapped in the bottle and quickly Anansi switched on the cap. And then Anansi went to see the snake. Anansi said to the snake, tiger wants me to measure your length. Okay, said the snake, measure me, not a problem, do it. And then Anansi again looked troubled. I can't measure you because you keep moving. Your head keep wiggling, your body keep wiggling. I don't know which end is head or tail, and you kept, I can't do this, said Anansi. So they said, let's figure out how this can be done. Anansi brought a stick. Anansi said, let me tie your head to one end and tie your tail to one end. So by tying you to this stick, you will not move about, then I can measure you better. The snake agreed. So what happened was, Anansi had the beast trapped in bottle and the snake trapped, tied to the stick. And he brought these two to see the tiger. And he let them loose. This is the animal that asked me to capture you. And the beast being angry attacked the tiger, and the snake being angry attacked the tiger died, and Anansi got the book. So he changed the title of the book from Tiger Stories to Anansi Stories. And Anansi stories are all about creativity, about wit, about how to overcome problems. It is no more about it's no more about might. You win because you use your brain, not because you use your strength. Okay, that is Anansi stories. Have you heard the story before? Yeah? No. Well, Anansi is a trickster. And in all cultures, you will have the story of tricksters. In the context of Malaysia, our trickster is the Sang Kancil, right? Sang Kancil in our culture is Anansi in their culture. In the UK, you have the rabbit, and then you have what other animals. So these are all tricksters. And what we can learn from tricksters is actually creativity. That when we have a problem, when we need to solve something, we use our brain. We use our creativity. It's creative thinking application, and this has been introduced to us by Anansi. So if it weren't for this book, Anansi Stories, today we would be killing companies. We would be murdering our competitors. But instead of that, we use Anansi's trick. We use our brain. We use our creativity, right? Okay. Now, let's see how we can apply creativity in business. Peter Drucker, this is a management guru, he said that organizations need two kinds of people, the bureaucrats and the lunatics. Someone wants to say something? No? Right. Now, have you read the book, A Peacock in the Land of Penguins? Have you read that book? I suggest you read it. Have you ever been in a situation where you join an organization, a society perhaps, and they were all the same? They dress the same way, they talk the same way, they do things the same for many, many years. It's the same. They're all like penguins. But if you're a peacock, you're loud, you're colorful, you're different from penguins. You do things differently. So in a business setting, in an organization, you need to have the penguins for the system, and you also need to have the peacocks, the creative side of it, the lunatics, right? Because these two, the combination of these two will be what your company needs to stay competitive, right? Now, when we think creatively in businesses, it is actually to help us see commercial opportunities, new ways of doing things, new marketing strategies, new business models. All of this creative thinking will be required in the business setting. Okay. We know when we are not being creative, when we have always done things a certain way. So let's see. This is my experience, at least. If I ask my colleague, why does it have to be this way? And if the answer is because we've always done it that way, it means we have stopped being creative as an organization, right? Just because it has always been done that way does not mean it is the best way, okay? And then the second one is that if your thinking is that you only fix what's broken, if it's working fine, if there's nothing troubling you about it, the system works fine, everything is okay, then don't do anything, don't fix it. That means you have forgotten that in business, you need to improve. Remaining the same always probably is good, but where is the improvement bit of it? And how can you sustain being the same throughout the years if you don't put in improvements? Improvements means you do something to it even though it's not broken, right? And the other thing, sign that can indicate that creativity is absent in your organization, in your business, in your life maybe, is when you don't want to rock the boat. Things are safe. Things are okay. Let's not do anything. It's too much trouble. If I do this, if I suggest this, if we, as much as wanting to go this way instead of our usual way, it will create problems. This fear of the unknown, fear of creating problems is an indication that your organization, you have not been creative. Okay? And the other thing is, when somebody suggests anything to you, let's do it this way. What is your response? If your response is, cannot be done, but you have not even tried it yet, you have not even thought through it yet. If your first reaction to any suggestions of to make any changes is cannot be done, or I've done it before, cannot, others have done it, cannot. If your cannot is your usual reaction to any suggestions, you're not being creative. And the other thing is, but that's risky. Are you sure we want to do it this way? It's risky. So the fear of risk is also an indication that you have not been creative. Okay. So in a business setting, if we want to spot opportunities, ask yourself this question. Think of if only. And then when a certain problem is already addressed well by the competitors, you ask yourself, if only this is done this way, that way, and then based from this solution that's already available, see if there are gaps. And in the solution that your competitors are offering, find out what is it that they're still bad off. You talk to their customers. Let's say baju kurung. Okay, right now, what's trending, I think, is this baju kurung tanpa gosok. You see it a lot when you drive on the highway. You'll see it with Ella wearing something in red, baju kurung tanpa gosok Sabella, it says. So, baju kurung tanpa gosok, when you can wear baju kurung without having to iron it, that solves a lot of problems. I don't like to iron. So, when there's a solution like that, baju kurung, it's a baju kurung, formal and all that, but does not require ironing, it solves my problem. But what is it about this solution, about this baju kurung tanpa gosok, that that me as somebody who would buy it is still unhappy with? So those are the questions that you need to find out. And then you come in to solve that problem, right? So this identification of opportunities based from what your competitors are already doing, if they're doing great, still you find out what is it that customers still want and how you could improve on the solutions presented by your competitors. So the ability to find all this is by you using your creative thinking. And then when you have discovered what is it, where, in which niche, in which angle, which crack that you can enter in, then you come in with your own solution, either totally in a new way, or you combined ways using theirs and yours, or other people's solutions combine and make the best of what they already have. But the idea is for you to first find the gap, think creatively how you can fill in that gap that is still there, come up with your solutions, right? Now, how do we do this? How do you be more creative, right? When you read a lot of books, what you get is more knowledge. You become more knowledgeable when you read more books. Reading more books will not make you more creative. Okay, it will just give you more knowledge. But then for you to be creative is for you to be able to connect all the knowledge gathered from all the books you have read, all the experience that you have gone through, the connecting of these dots between the knowledge that you have gathered throughout your life, that's creative, right? This, do you know L.M Montgomery? This is currently my favorite author. N is L.M Montgomery writes the book Anne of the Green Gables. You know the book, right? So Anne is an interesting character. So you see, you don't have to read textbooks only to get knowledge. Even when you read books such as Anne of the Green Gables, this is what I gathered from Anne. This is what I learned from Anne, right? Anne said, there are so many things in this room and all are so splendid that there is no scope for imagination. Bear in mind that imagination is the foundation of creativity, right? That is one consolation when you're poor. There are so many more things you can imagine about. So assess yourself. If you're in the position where you have everything that you want, you don't have to work to get all the things that you want. Yeah, you come from a rich family, you just need to ask your parents for money, they'll give you money. You don't have ambition, you're fine with the way things are. There's no need to imagine anything. You're good, you're fine. What is there to imagine about? Because whatever you think you want to have, you can have. But for most of us, me, myself included, when I have to work hard for what I want, I started that business trying to commercialize this safety hypodermic needle, right? It was hard. I wasted a lot of money there. I was burnt really bad. The business did not take off. The country was not ready. Malaysia did not have a Medical Device Act then. This was 20 over years ago. So, but because things were bad, because I was in a company that needed to survive, I had to use my imagination a lot. And being presented with a problem, with a difficulty, means you are able to harness your creativity better. If everything is in a straight road, so you graduate, and even before you graduated, even before your convocation, you've received a job offer, your road is pretty much laid out. It's straight in front of you. You can see far into the horizon because the road is straight. You don't need to imagine anything. You know what's ahead of you, right? And because you know what's ahead of you, there's no need to imagine anything. You don't need to creatively maneuver your way because it's a straight road. What fun is that? What kind of life is that when everything is already laid out easily for you? Not exciting, right? But life gets exciting when there is a bend in it. I set up a business and that business failed. I lost millions in that business. Because of that failure, I learned a lot. Because of that bend in my road was not a straight road. Because there are bends. Isn't it exciting that you don't know what's ahead of you, that you have this bend and you can imagine a lot of things, that you can make the best of the journey, that you can perhaps bring along a lot of things in that journey because you don't see how the road will end. You don't know where you'll end up because your road is not straight. So the way I see it, when you are presented with problems, when you're in a company and you need to now figure out how to make money, COVID is here, people are not buying, people are not going out, you need to now survive, you need to make sure that you pay salaries to all those dependent on you. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that what makes life exciting? And to be able to maneuver your way through this bending roads, these winding roads, you need to be able to use your imagination, and you need to connect the dots, use all the knowledge that you have gathered, your experience, and be creative. Okay, that's what I learned from Anne from the Green Gables. Read that book, it's good. Right, how to be more creative. Can you think like Anansi? Can you think like Sangkanchil? When presented in a problem, can you think like Sangkanchil? You know the story of when Sangkanchil fell into a hole? He could not come out because Sangkanchil is too short, could not climb out from the hole. He needed to now think how to survive. So what he did was he yelled, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And the elephant heard this. Elephant quickly jumped into the hole to hide with Sangkanchil, and Sangkanchil then used the elephant to jump out. Imagine that in a business setting. You're in a business, you're in a hole. You don't see the way out. You are 6 feet under. Business is not coming. How do you figure out the ways to come out from this hole. Can you think like Sang Kancil? Can you figure it out like Anansi? Right? This is my 6 B's of creativity. I use the 6 B's whenever I need to think creatively. This is what works for me, right? First, I will break up the problem. If presented with a problem, Sang Kancil in a hole, cannot climb out. The hole is too high and I can't climb. So break down the problem. You have whatever it is that's facing, whether it's in a business setting or in your life, when you have a problem, you break it up. Break the problem into its monomers. You know, monomers kan is protein. What is protein made up of? This is complex. You break it up into its acid aminos. Then when it is in its simplest form, it's easier for you to figure it out. Then you can solve one monomer per at one time. Okay, and then you brainstorm the problem. You talk with others. In a business setting, you will have brainstorming session. You will make everybody sit in one room and you discuss the problem and you listen to everybody's ideas. You don't say, no, cannot be done. No, we've done it before. No, it's impossible. Let's not rock the boat. You open up to all ideas. You listen to everybody. You consider everybody's solution as something that can work, right? Consider them all. Brainstorm it. And then you become others. You role play. What if you start thinking like you're in the production? You have fantastic ideas how you want to do your things, but you're limited by your machines, right? But here is your sales guy. Sales guy are promising a lot of things out there. We can deliver the moon, the stars, everything in between can be done. But here you are in production, wanting to live up to the promises, but knowing you are limited with all your resources. Try to wear the other person's hat. Role play. Have that discussion during your brainstorming. You become others. When you become others, you can make yourself think differently. You can force your brain to switch, because to think like others, to be somebody else, then you need to move into your uncomfortable zone. You're being yourself is comfortable. You know yourself well. Be somebody else. Be uncomfortable. When you're uncomfortable, you get more ideas, right? And then build something. Build something is, for some of us, we are visual. We need to see it. For some of us, we need to hear it. For some of us, we need to build it. So when we build it, we can see how it's going to work or not. Or at least this distracts us away. This encourages our creative side of the brain to work, rather than let our conscious mind do all the thinking. Because one side is logical, and if you're logical, you will think about not wanting to rock the boat. You'll think about not wanting to burn again. That's your logical brain. So you want to use your other side of the brain, and that brain is encouraged when you do something creative, build something. Brood on it, you sleep on it. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have a problem and I can't figure it out, not exactly problem, when I have something that I want to do and I need to figure out how to do it better, I can think about it and I'll be so tired and I will not get any ideas. What I do is I just take a nap. I sleep on it. And in the morning, the next day, a few hours later, the solution just comes into my mind, because creative thinking is about capitalizing on your subconscious. Your conscious side, your logical side will do all the thinking, and it will not do any creative thinking because that's logical. You brood on it, you sleep on it, and let your unconscious brain start to work, and then the solution will come out. If that works for me, try it. And then you need to be bias free. Sometimes when people give you suggestions, or even when you have some ideas, you will be biased towards your past experiences. Like I said, you've done it before, it failed miserably. I failed in business before. I wasn't able to get the product ready on time. I burned myself big time. And because I've learned, I've been burned before, I'm extra cautious. So I'm biased towards that. I don't want to go into business again because I've been hurt badly. Or maybe in a relationship. This kind of guy, this guy, let's say for example, hurt you badly. And he's tall, he has curly hair, right? So now that you are single, you're seeing somebody new, anybody who's tall and have curly hair will be suspicious to you. You'll be thinking, oh, this guy is going to hurt me, simply because you have bad experience with such kind of guys before, right? So you see, you need to be bias free. Keep your mind open, free yourself from biasness, and prevent your logical thinking from entering into your subconscious and interfere with your creative thoughts. Okay, this is the idea beast. And then a lot of us are uncomfortable in the creative zone. You know you are in the creative zone when there's no clarity. It's blurry. So at least because I did engineering when I was in school. For one thing, after my Darjah 6, after standard 6, I did not know that I had options. I took for granted that I must do science. I didn't know that I could do arts, I could do anything else. I've been tuned to think that I must do science. So after standard 6, I did science. And science taught me logical thinking. Logic. And then after degree, after school, I wanted to do engineering. I did engineering because I thought that would be the easiest degree to do. I was wrong. So I did engineering. And engineering, again, it was all about logical thinking. So all of us, most of us in school, we've been conditioned that way. Logical thinking. And because we were tuned that way, we are uncomfortable when our brain, our logical side are not allowed to rule. It makes us uncomfortable. And we don't like to make mistakes. Mistakes are uncomfortable to us because, again, it's the performance in school, the way we are trained, being compared to our parents, friends, children. So we tend to want to not make mistakes, right? But in the creative zone, there's no such thing as mistake. Everything goes, everything is possible. There's no mistake. Nobody makes any mistake here. Any ideas can potentially be good ideas. Take everything in. And then play. It's important to play. So even if you're in the 60s, 50s, 70s, for as long as you're still playful, you don't mind playing, you'll still have that creative side of you working, right? The problem is we stop playing. We feel like playing are only for kids. Only kids play. And then, I don't know about you, but my parents discouraged me from berangan. So when I was a kid, when I was like not doing anything, and they say, berangan lah tu. Like berangan was such a bad thing. But berangan is imagination. Imagination is good. Berangan is good. So go ahead, do your berangan, play whatever. Do what you must. Be in awe of the world. Be still in awe of everything that happens around you. Be amazed by everything that you see. Then you'll keep your creativity alive. Okay? And then difference is not bad. Because sometimes when you are asked to make a decision, like Kiran asked me, Maria, can you talk? Okay, I said, I'll think about it. Why can't I answer right then and there? Kiran wanted me to answer right then and there, but that decision was not required right then and there. So why couldn't I answer in a few hours? Can, but we are uncomfortable. We want everything to be resolved quickly. It's our nature. Again, our logical side, the way we've been trained. Everything must be resolved now. That's why we don't sleep on it. That's why when we buy things at Shopee, and we just buy lah. We don't sleep on it, because if we sleep on it, we won't buy, right? Sleeping on it is always good. Deferring thing can be good. And in the creative zone, there is no rules. Do whatever you want, play whatever you want. Everything is possible. It's your safe zone. Do whatever you must, right? And then these are the 6 Ds of creativity. The death of creativity is deductive thinking, logical thinking. And we are driven for only one solution. There are many ways to solve a problem, not just one way. So if you're bent in finding one way to your problem, you are not doing things creatively. All right. And then we always wonder, am I creative enough? I'm not creative. You think you're creative. I'm not. No such thing. You have to believe that you are creative. You have it within you, this creativity thing. And if you only want to do what's doable, that's not being creative. Because in thinking creatively, everything is doable. There is no mistake. Everything can be done. And the other thing is when you draw up borders, this is what I experienced myself. So this is what my bosses would tell me. Maria, I want you to design new brochure for MTDC because you're creative. You do lah. I want this brochure to be the most creative MTDC has ever seen. But it must be square and the color must be blue. The font must be that. So you want me to be creative, yet you put in all the boundaries, you box me in. So how can you be creative if you're boxed? If you put borders around you? So remove all borders, free yourself, be creative. And then distorted views is everything to do with biasness. Just free your mind, everything is possible. Again, do not let your creativity die by having all the 6 Ds, okay? Right, Ray Bradbury is a famous author. He is, among his great works are Fahrenheit and I can't remember the other one. But his is dystopian future. He's always talking about dystopian future. And he is one of the most creative fellas I've ever read. And he says, thinking is the enemy of creativity because thinking means you're using your logical side. Do not think, imagine instead. Berangan instead, do not think, right? In a conservative zone, you don't want to be clear, because if it's clear, everything is precise, then that's not what you want. You don't want quick solutions either, and you don't want rules to govern your thinking, right? Free yourself. So what I would be recommending for you to do is to always be curious. Always ask, what if? Always ask, if I can do this way. Always push the boundaries. What else is possible? How else can you do this? How many other ways can you skin a rabbit, for example? Be curious. And you need to be comfortable in chaos. Orang kata, people say, creative people are messy. I've seen Puan Kiran's desk. It is messy. Sorry, Kiran. So if your table is messy, chaotic, that is probably an indication that you're a creative person, right? And you need to not be afraid of failures. What is there to be afraid of? What is the worst thing that can happen if you fail? You fail lah. I mean, that's already the bottom. You cannot go any more bottom than failure. And after hitting the bottom, the only way to go is up. So once you've hit the most bottom of your failures, you're freed at that point, because now there's only one way to go, which is going up, right? Seek knowledge. Keep on reading books. Read as many books as you can, and remember to find the dots in each of the knowledge and learn how to connect them. And there are various ways to connect the dots, right? That is all that I have. So I'll return the session back to the moderator.
Thank you, Pak Mariatini. Well, messy desk means creative, right? I think I'm very
Potential.
creative. Oh, potential only. Okay, we have a question here from Shirley. How to build a culture of creativity in business? And what is the best way to train people to be creative?
How to create the culture of creativity in a business? Keep the conversation open. When you invite people for ideas, you need to always have means that encourage people to contribute ideas. And once they contribute ideas, every idea is treated like it's jam. Do not turn down an idea just because you think it's undoable. Encourage conversation, encourage all this discussion, and open up the office. Do not I don't know. I mean, I can't function in a cubicle. Open it up. Free the space. Open it up and allow people to be penguins that they are instead of asking them to be the penguins. Let them be peacocks, right? If they want to color their hair, if they are messy, let them be. Let them be free to express themselves. That to me will encourage creativity in a setting.
Right, thank you. And how do you balance stability, change, and sustainability when being a creative?
I
By
think if
Abhineshna.
you are creative,
Mhm.
those things are included because you're creative, you are able to sustain. But the problem is, people always regard creative people as because it's not easy to pin them down. They wiggle about. They cannot be pinned down. So if they have ideas, you need to quickly pin down their ideas before they start thinking of other things. Inventors, they are always in la la land. They always have flitting from this idea to the next. That's why, if you remember the one of my slides just now, I said in a business setting, you need the bureaucrats, you also need the lunatics. So let the lunatics do all the crazy things, all the thinking, all the pushing boundaries and taking the risk. But the bureaucratics will need to be able to what do you call it, to rein them in lah. Kadang-kadang kan they're all over the place kan. So there must be a balance between having bureaucrats and having the lunatics. But engage lunatics, hire them. They're good.
All right, and okay, there's a question for you. Do you agree that creative solutions sometimes can't please every party involved? Do you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. Of course. In fact, a lot of creative people have difficulty adjusting in a corporate setting because of that. Because of them wanting to do things differently. Because they are always asking why. Why do we do it this way? Why can't we do it this way? And that changes the status quo, and that is disruptive. That is rocking the boat. So a lot of people will not be comfortable with people rocking the boat. But unless we are open to that's the thing. What's wrong with having the boat rocked? It's kind of interesting as well. Okay, rock the boat, do it. But that's the thing. You need as if you're the penguins, if you're ones who like to be structured and do the same thing every time, it probably will be will get on your nerves that somebody wants to change things. Try to at least listen to the ideas, talk it out, and see if this idea might work after all. On your side, you need to be less of a penguin, less logical, and on this side, the lunatics will have to be more logical. Marry the two.
Balance it out. Okay. And oftentimes, a question by Parashina, oftentimes during expression of creative people,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people tend to judge or restrict how to react to this. Oftentimes
The
during
question
expression,
is,
oftentimes during expression of creativity, people tend to judge or restrict how to react to this. Maybe Parashina can explain, can elaborate a little bit further on the question. Parashina, would you like to do that? Can unmute yourself? Yes. Parashina? Okay. All right. How do you, okay. Anyway, the next question is, what exactly is MTDC? I work in a company of which is one of the tenants in UPM, MTDC Technology Center.
okay. If you bump into me, say hi, okay? Malaysian Technology Development Corporation is a Sdn Bhd company. We have never received OPEX from the government. We need to earn our own salaries, but we are an agency under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. So we promote technology acquisition and commercialization. So that's what we do. So if your company is residing in our incubator, that means you are from a technology-based companies and one that we would like to promote because of your technology content. Good, good, good. Hi, neighbor.
Parashina? Parashina says, okay, how do we react to judgment and restriction of creativity? That's what she meant.
How do you react? Generally, the knee-jerk reaction would be upset lah. Okay. Creative people are always misunderstood. But what am I doing? What am I saying creative people? There is no such thing as creative people. All of us can be creative. So when you put on your creative hat, people tend to get uncomfortable because you are challenging the norm. So how do you react to that? Naturally, you would be upset. Naturally, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to suggest any more ideas. Maybe you need another session on this. When I was younger, when I was perhaps your age, I reacted as well. Then I stopped giving ideas. Then in meetings, I stopped giving suggestions at all. But nobody benefits from that. The company loses, you loses out as well. So it's easy for me to say disregard them because I'm at that place where I've gone through it. I've been hurt before. I've been da. So at this age, it's easy for me. Alah, pedulikan aja, don't care about them. But when I was your age, I cared a lot, right? So maybe that's not something that I can address lah. But truth be told, if you consider yourself somebody creative, you are creative. A lot of people think you are, then you probably are. That's a strength. Be proud of it and make full use of this strength. Don't be ashamed of it or keep mum about it just to conform. Be yourself.
Okay, and there's a question from Kanishta Sharma. I think this is a common in you know, what we experience. Okay, where do you draw the line between being reasonable and being creative? You know, sometimes when we get creative, we get carried away, right? So where do you draw the line between being reasonable and being creative? For example, although things have been done the same way for a certain period of time, someone young like myself may come up with a new idea. However, someone older with more experience may be able to see potential flaws that I don't.
Okay, two things then. Why do you need to draw the line? And the other word is reasonable, I think you used, right? In being creative, you don't have to be reasonable. You don't have to draw the line. And when you said you are young, you may be inexperienced, but you have new ideas, probably wild ideas, you talk it out with somebody who is older, who is more experienced, because you said just now that that fella will be able to spot weaknesses in your ideas. Creative ideas are just exactly that. They are creative. Just because they are creative does not mean they are flawless, faultless. Of course, there are a lot of problems with creative ideas. But what's important is to get the creative idea out first. And then once the creative idea is out, then we use our logical side. Then we thresh out this idea to see what the weaknesses of this idea and whether this can be done or not. Not all creative ideas must be carried out. But what's important is to have all your creative side of your brain into full mode, full gear, have all the ideas, crazy as they may be, on the table, and then we use our logical side to fish out which can be done. So you need to be creative first. Use this side of the brain first, and then you use your logical. I'm not saying that when you apply creative thinking in business, you disregard your logical thinking altogether. You use your creative to get the ideas first, and then you use logical thinking to finally select which one can be done and how to do it right and not to fall into troubles, right? Especially if you're young. That's why you need brainstorming. You get other people in discussing your ideas, right? Do not disregard logical thinking. It's needed. We know it's needed, but get the creative juices out first.
Okay, I think this is a follow-up question to just what you explained just now by Harshal Doshi. Creativity versus logical thinking, right? Usually ideas are always generated with a creative thought. However, most of the time, a creative thought will always have to be balanced against logical thinking. Most people will usually consider the logical factors first before acting upon their ideas. Based on your experiences, are there any factors that should be taken into account or factors that need to be considered when one wants to act on an idea but are usually restricted due to the other logical factors that unfortunately would come with it?
First, like I said, you shut down your logical side. You use only your creative side. Get all the ideas out. Once you get all the ideas out, then only use your logical side. And this logical side will make you, will keep you rooted on the ground. But when you were doing your creative, if you ask me about guidelines, that goes against being creative. There are no guidelines. There is no box. So all these questions indicate we still want to box ourselves because we are afraid. Creativity is a scary thing. Being wild in our ideas and imagining the impossible, the unimaginable are all scary things. That's why we want guidelines. Can you give us 5 steps how to be more creative? That's not how it works. There's no structure here. So if I give you structure, if I say in creative thinking, these are the structure, you do it by this way. These are the SOPs for creative thinking. That's not creative anymore. If it's uncomfortable, if you're not sure after this session and you wonder, what did she see just now? I don't get anything. That means you got it right. If you get a structure from this, and I've not done a good job. You should be uncomfortable. After this, God, how do I start? Because there's no starting point even. That's the way it is. Be wild and don't be scared. Berani, be bold. Belasah je. Right?
Okay. Sharon Tanusha is asking for Maria, any recommended collaborative mind mapping tools, especially for online meetings?
There are a lot. There are a lot. If you go to any, if you go for creative thinking tools, there are a lot. You have bonus hats, and you have a lot of tools out there. But I don't. Tools to me are just marketing, right? I have now figured out my way of doing things. I do it through my 6 Bs. That's how I get ideas. I can write a book on it and then call it Maria's 6 Bs, and that becomes a tool. You create your own tool. Or if you can't create your own tool, there are a lot of tools available out there. Anyone should work. But I use my own. Right, but there are a lot out there. You can, I'm not going to promote any one tool. There are a lot. So just Google it up. You'll see a lot of tools. You can use any of those tools. But I'm not one for usage of tools. I make my own.
Okay, by Lechman Anbalagan. Puan Maria, what or who has been your biggest inspiration in keeping your creativity energy going?
I read a lot of books, right? So I can't name one person that inspires me. I make it a point to read at least 52 books a year, 1 week, 1 book. And then I realized when I started to count how many books I've read, I realized that I've done like 100 per year. And I read all sorts of things. So if you limit yourself to the same author, for example, you only read Drucker or you only read Stephen Covey, only management books and all, it's all good, but that's knowledge. To encourage your creative side, read whatever books. I read comics, I read everything I can read. All sorts of authors, fantasies and everything. And from each of these books, there are lessons to be learned. There are things that you can still gather from them. And these are all these authors are inspiring. So read everything. Do not stick to only one genre. Read everything. Read everyone.
All right. And a question from Daryl. Hi, love the session so far. His question is, can the culture of creativity be promoted even if the work relates to areas of procedures and regulations? Example, healthcare, legal system, etc. If so, what compromises can we make to have a functional union between cultures of creativity and procedures?
All right. Procedures, SOPs, can. SOPs are needed. Frankly, don't tell my bosses, I don't function well with SOPs, but I know I need to abide by them, right? So I have SOPs. But what's important for me in the SOPs is the understanding of the whys. Why is the SOP written this way? What is the rationale behind each instruction, each steps in the SOP? And once I know the whys, I can be creative even in following the SOPs. Let's say the SOP says, paint it red. If you know why it must be red, turn out red is just so that people can see. Then orange also can do. The idea is not to do it black. You need to understand why it's red. If you understand the justification, you can be creative even in conforming to SOPs. And for a person like me, I need to still have room to maneuver even when I work in a highly regulated industry, financing, I do investments. It's highly regulated. So we need to follow the SOPs clearly, or otherwise Auditor General will come knocking on my door, okay? But even in that room of tightness, I still need some room to maneuver, and that can be done by understanding the rationale. It can work, right?
And Samantha is asking, can we have Puan Maria's LinkedIn handler, please? Can't seem to find it.
Okay. I don't remember my account. I'll give it to the organizer later. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I believe creative thinking is a unique idea that one expresses and manifests their inspiration by Parashina. Yes. Any other questions from the floor? Anyone would like to ask anything else about creativity? Okay, wow, this is a long question by Danigo. In Asian culture, most parents from the conventional background or teachers from the conventional schools restrict students from asking questions. Perhaps this may hinder them from being curious and gain the courage to ask questions, to gain knowledge and to explore. This experience may cause most fresh graduates today from being open in questioning. How can teams, employees, and employers from workplace today encourage the newcomers to be more open in learning and to question?
Right. I can relate to that. When I was in school, Kiran will, I went to the same school as Kiran. I don't know if she remembers. When I was in school, I asked a lot of questions, so much so that the teacher cellophane taped my mouth. Sellotape. I could not ask questions. But even when my mouth was made shut like that, I even raised my hand, still wanting to ask questions. So but those are, like you said, conventional teachers, conventional parents, conventional bosses. The audience in here, the 70 of you, you are going to be parents as well if you're not already. You are not conventional, you're young. You are going to be bosses as well. So if you think this is wrong, if you think like me that we should ask questions, we should always question why, then be the one that makes that different. Be a different parent, be a better parent, be a better bosses. You make that change. If you feel things are not quite there for you yet, well, you make that change, right?
And we have a question from Clarice, which is not
Yes.
really, yeah. How do you, what makes you choose to do masters in technology management, but not masters in chemical engineering?
Okay. Well, I don't exactly, I'm not the kind of person that charts my way. I'm like Anne of the Green Gables. I don't have a straight road in front of me. So all I wanted was to have a degree. I wanted to have a master degree. I wanted to have a PhD. Doesn't matter in what field. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. I'll do it. So I'll do it. That's it. It's not to charter my career growth or nothing like that. I'm not sophisticated like that. I just enjoy learning. I want to learn something new. I want to take up any courses that's available, so I just do it. That's it.
And from Anne Catherine.
Not Anne of the Green Gables.
Hi, Poor Maria. Any suggestions on how do you manage your time coping with work and yet able to read so many books a year?
I'm a voracious reader. I'm also a ferocious reader. I read whenever I don't watch a lot of TVs, and even if I do watch TV, it will be something that's based from the book. So, and the thing with me and books is that books are time travel for me. It's a travel. When I start with a book, I'll enter into that world. I'll be so absorbed in the book. I will not want to leave the world until I'm done. So I'll read until I'm done. So if the book is really that engaging, so I'll I'll find the way. I'll find the time. I'll still get into that book.
Okay, and from Menstonen Tan, in thinking about the things that you have created, is there something that you hated but the public may have loved, perhaps purchased? How do you explain this?
Maybe the one who asked the question can elaborate further. I don't.
Menstonen, are you here?
I'd like to think that everything that I invented would be something that I loved, and I would push it out because I think people would love it too.
Menstonen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, I guess what I meant was like, when you have created something and because you're working in a team and there may be some adjustments to it, and yet you have to do it because, let's say, your boss tells you to do it, and so you put it out there, and you might think the public may not have liked it, but it actually surprised you. I just thought if you had any experience like that.
Yes. Again, because you have all sorts of ideas, you have a lot of ideas, and you want your ideas to be the one chosen by your team. During a brainstorm, you have all sorts of ideas, and in the end, your idea may not be chosen, or people may improve or do some changes to your ideas, so that when the idea comes out, it's not exactly your idea anymore. It's something that is contributed by the whole team, which is fine. And the way I do it is that when an idea is discussed in a group, it doesn't become an idea, my idea anymore. Remember that we've done our creative side, and we will protective our creativity. Never mind that. But once that is discussed and everybody puts in their logic, then you will see other people's logic, and because your preference and other people's preference may not be the same. So yes, sometimes the improved idea, the changed idea, something that is not originally yours anymore, may receive a better reception than your original ideas would, and should be fine with that. What's important is to have your ideas out. The thing with creativity is that you need first room to be able to do all this thinking and put down your ideas, present to everybody, this is your suggestions, and then you let go. It's not about wanting your idea to be carried through all the way. It's not insisting on your idea. It's about insisting that your ideas are heard, not about insisting that your ideas are taken, right? Two different things. So I'm absolutely fine with that.
Okay, I think we will take the last question by Prashant. How has creative thinking helped you in this pandemic season, be it from a work or day-to-day basis?
Do you watch again? Do you watch the Netflix movie Bird Box? See, do I see people nodding? Bird Box, right? Bird Box. Well, Bird Box is from a book. So I've watched the movie and I've read the book. It's a lot like what's happening now. But in that case, it's about alien invasion. But if you see the alien, then you'll turn mad. And I feel that's almost the same like what we are going through now. So as far as I'm concerned, this whole pandemic thing is exciting because I am part of history. Never before in the history of mankind this thing happened, right? So now I'm part of this history, and that's a wonderful thing for me. I'm glad to be part of this big thing. And then because of all the fictions, all the books I've read, all the movies I've watched, so this is life imitating art. So that's exciting as well. I every day of MCO excites me because it's another day different from my usual days. As cooped up as I may be in the house, as limited as my movements may be, but this is an experience that I thoroughly enjoy living because it probably is the only time in my entire life I'll ever get to experience this. So it's my outlook. It's how I'm still excited at the prospect of having a pandemic. Imagine pandemic. What an experience.
That's fantastic. It's a really great perspective, you know, to see it that way, you know. It can be a little bit depressing for some, you know, and it's really nice to be able to see it positively, you know. I mean, I remember my boss as well saying before, like, you know, it is during the hardest time that you learn most, you know, and right, because you have to use your creativity to learn how to get out of it, and you know, to find the solution, and you know, stay afloat and succeed, you know.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you so much, Paul Mariatini, for your time. I would like to invite Shirley Ho, our RYLA program coordinator, for a vote of thanks. Thank you so much, Paul Mariatini, for taking our time to be with us.
Thank you.
Shirley?
On behalf of the Rotary District 3300 and also the RYLA team, thank you very much, Puan Mariatini. I'm just amazed at the positive vibes and encouraging, inspiring, sharing knowledge that you have actually imparted to all the participants here today. And I'm very sure that the participants will agree with me too on this. You know, sometimes there's always that myth that creativity is something that you are either born with, you know, but to know that it's only a capacity that we can actually learn and be trained, you know. And the fact that some people always have this thinking that, you know, you are a creative person or you are not a creative person, but actually every one of us are creative. It's just how we tap on it and how we actually harness that skill that's most important. I like how you have shared with us your 6 B's of creativity, and you know, and the fact that in every of your answers that you have given, there's not been a border around your answer. You know, you have left it as wide as you know, as you can imagine, and I believe that is what it is all about, because creativity honestly just does not have any borders. I have to totally agree with you, and with that in mind, I'm going to definitely have a word with my mother, because you know, when I was growing up, she stopped me from reading quite a number of romance books because she said that was not good, you know. But then again, I always believe my English improved tremendously because I was reading books like Mills and Boons, you know, which you really use bombastic English, and till today my club members say I speak bombastic English, you know. So there you go, you know, I have to thank those books, whatever said and done. And you're the second person in the second workshop series, the second speaker to actually advise all our participants to read 52 books a year. So even Jeevan Sahadevan said the same thing, and even you are telling the same thing, which I have to agree with you. Though I've not kept account of the number of books I've read in a year, but I believe I'm somewhere around there too. And it's comforting to know that, you know, it shouldn't be restricted to just one style or books, or one books by one author. We should just broaden our horizons and read anything that catches our interest, because that's where I always believe creativity comes from. So with that, thank you very much, Puan Mariatini. I'm very sure today our participants have gained a lot, and we like to thank you on behalf of Rotary District 3300. We would like to, can I have the next slide, Dr. Bernard? No. Yes. This is our certificate of appreciation to you, Puan Mariatini, for your contribution towards the youth empowerment at our RYLA 2020-21. The hard copy of that with a small token will be mailed to you. We'll get your mailing address, and we will send this over to you. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. So with that, I pass it over to Millie.
Thank you, Shirley. I think as Shirley was talking, I was just thinking that maybe you could write a book about dare to be creative. All right, thank you. Thank you, Paul Mariatini. We have more assignment tips to help you prepare, to help the participants prepare for your assignments. How to make a good video presentation, maybe. Let's have Shirley back on screen for the assignment tips part 2. The screen is yours, Shirley.
Thank you. Can I have the slides again, Dr. Bernard? All right. Every month we will be always touching on different areas for assignment tips because we believe that this is to prepare you for your assignment when you get it at the end of the 4th workshop session. So as you're made aware that your assignment is divided into 2 parts. One is the written assignment and one is the video assignment. So for video assignment, here's just some quick tips on how to do a good video presentation. Can I have the next slide, Dr. B? So the first pointer, keep it short and simple. Keep it straight to the point. All right. You need to figure out what it is that you want to answer to the question that has been forwarded to you. Don't divert. Don't tell us grandmother, grandfather stories. Yes, you can tell us a story, but keep it short and keep it simple. And try not to exceed your timeline. So if we say your video has to be within, example, 4 minutes or how many megabytes in size, please make sure you adhere to the requirements and try to avoid too many animation or too drastic decorations, because that can be quite distractive and we might lose our focus when looking at your video presentation, and we might miss the points that you're trying to tell us. Next slide. Demonstrate your key message first. What is it that you want us to know? What is it you are trying to tell us first? Capture our attention. Don't make us wait wondering what is it you're trying to tell. Don't wait till the very, don't like what we say, keep the best for the last and leave us wondering and pondering until the end. All right, so be upfront in sequence, be brief, be bold, like what Puan Mariatini say, be bold, blasa saja, so do the beast. All right, next slide. Summarize your argument. All right, you help users memorize what are the key information by repeating that word over and over again. So tell us what is it, your key points, and keep saying those words over and over again so that at the end of the day, I know this is what you're trying to tell us. For example, in today's presentation, it's all about creativity. So you keep hearing the word creativity, So same thing here. In your video presentation, keep repeating the keywords that you want us to know. Start out with your key idea with short, snappy points. Summarize it again at the end and rehearse till you get it right. It's always good to video yourself, look at it, see how else you can improve, and keep doing a better video. So that is how you improve. Then next slide, you create a relevant script. Keep it short and simple and relevant. That's very important. All right. Keep your words and speech relevant. Be concise and accentuate the main points. Now, ensure that your presentation is easy to understand. Do not complicate with too difficult or bombastic words. All right. Use natural flowing language and be comfortable when you are doing the video. Don't look stiff, don't look stressed, tensed, and that when we watch the video, we can even feel that tension when we are watching your own video. So, you should be relaxed, have a nice big smile, and be comfortable when you're doing your video presentation. Next. Invest in quality, very important. Use a high resolution camera so that it's clear in your video is clear. Ensure good lighting. Please don't do it in a place where it's dark or you are not directly under any source of light and we can't see your face clearly, or you're seated somewhere where there's bright sunlight at the back glaring away and we can't see your face clearly. So again, select the right location with the right lighting is important. Also ensure good audio capture. It's good to invest in microphones like this where you can hear yourself clearly, or do your recording in a quiet environment and less echo. So try not to do it in front of a fan where you can hear the wind blowing and stuff like that, and that actually is a distraction in your video presentation. And use a tripod or a stabilizer to have a more stable footage. Also important in your angling of your video also is important. Like for example, if you look at me right now, you can see that I've angled the camera in such a way that the gap between both sides are about the same and above, and it's just nice that cover's still here, till, you know. So I'm looking clear to you. I don't have distractions at the back, and that's how a video presentation supposed to be like, you know, clear and concise. Next slide. Create a rich and dynamic feel. Ensure you have good body language. That's very important. A charming smile, like I said, from the beginning till the end. Dress code, very important. Please do not be wearing one t-shirt or singlet when you're doing a formal presentation. If we call you to do a formal presentation, then ensure that you are properly attired for it. And please use relevant and professional background. Don't do your video recording outside with the cars going past, people walking up and down, and that are all distractions. Next. Yep, that's it. That is our quick tips for your video presentation. Look forward to the next workshop where we will touch another area of assignment tips. Over to you, Millie.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Now may I invite Karthi Palanisamy, RYLA Organizing Co-Chairman, for his closing remarks. Karthi?
Thank you, Millie. You know, it's good to see over 70 people still in the room this evening. So it must have been, so Maria, thank you for keeping the participants all enthralled and, you know, captivated for the whole session. You know, Shirley gave you an overview just now about video tips. Last week, she talked to you about what you need to do. So, you know, really the essence of these past two sessions we had and following two sessions is about listening carefully. We have structured the entire program to help you curate your video and your written presentation. So it's really good to see all of you all still here. Wish you all the best, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks, Sherry, for the next session.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. So thank you, Maria, once again. Thank you, participants, for being here, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Karthi. All right, I would like to invite everyone to please turn on your video, as we are going to take a group photograph, and I will need Dr. B to assist us with the group photos.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, just a minute. Hey, everyone with your video on. I'm just going to take a screenshot. Do 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me just take this one.
Hi.
And another one. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you. Okay, back to you. Okay. Back to you, Millie.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. B. Sorry. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
All
hear.
right.
Dr. B,
Okay.
need to share back the screen.
All right, the next session is on 9th of January, 2021, with the topic Leadership, Attitudes and Values with Andreas Vogiatzakis, Business Strategist and Advisor, also the Executive Director of www.ambplus.com. So the session starts at 4 p.m. as usual. Please be on time. Until the next session, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And may 2021 be an awesome, awesome year for all of us. Stay safe and take care, and see you all in 2021. Thank you.